There's just been so much that has happened in these. Actually, it's been 4 weeks, 3 weeks maybe, since we've recorded. It's been a while.
Yeah, but I mean, this is our first actual episode, so
Yeah.
everything has happened. Everything in history has happened since we've recorded.
Oh my god. Oh my god. I'm so excited.
All right, you want to get started?
Yeah. What do we start with? What's first?
Hello, VROOMERS. This is the Vroom podcast. My name is Jack, and this is Nick, as in Dominic. And we're going to talk some F1. The VROOMERS are really excited. Are you excited?
How could we not all be incredibly excited right now? I'm so excited. The one thing I'm still upset about is that we couldn't watch testing.
I know. This is like a pre-testing. Testing stuff's super weird. I think it might be weird because of COVID, but like this is like pre-testing, I think, because of the reg changes.
Yeah.
And then there's like testing in Bahrain, I think, like right before the first race.
Okay.
I'm wondering if, I don't really know, I'm wondering if they're going to broadcast the testing.
Yeah. Hopefully.
But we'll see, I guess. But at least we get to see pictures of the cars and stuff.
It's really sad how little I know about the schedule. Like, I was talking to my sister-in-law yesterday, and she was like, "Oh, like Monaco's in May." I was like, "I didn't know that."
Yeah, it's because when I texted you, I'm going to go to Monaco for my birthday. It's because it's my birthday weekend.
Yes.
And obviously, you know exactly when my birthday is. So you should know that it's in May.
Obviously, I know when every Formula One race is and every birthday, and
yeah,
I know when President's Day is for sure.
Those holidays are really fun when you don't know about them because you're not expecting that day off.
On you.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it anyway. So
my whole MO.
I think what we should do is let's just go through the teams in reverse order to how they finished last year.
Okay.
And see what we think so far.
Who finished last?
You don't know who finished last?
No, I don't.
It's notable who finished last because they got no points. They're the only team that got 0 points as a team.
A perfect season.
A perfect season. Neither driver scored a single point all season.
It's Haas.
It's Haas. Yeah, it's definitely Haas.
Yeah.
So just a little recap. They got no points. They also have not changed their main members of their team. Same team principal, same two drivers.
If it's working, why would you change?
Yeah. Don't fix what's not broken.
Yeah.
They got Nikita Mazepin and Mick Schumacher. Mm-hmm. And there's also some interesting stuff going on because Nikita Mazepin is Russian. And he brings with him their title sponsor, Ukulele or whatever.
Ever you say that. I've been guessing for years.
Yeah, whatever it is was the title sponsor of the car.
Yeah.
And they wiped the sponsor out for testing. So there's pictures of the Haas testing, and it's like pure white, which is pretty neat.
Yeah, it's actually pretty cool. I like that.
And there's a lot of rumors going around about Nikita Mazepin's future because he's maybe not necessarily the best possible driver they could have in that seat, but he brings a lot of money. And if they need to wipe the Russian sponsor, then maybe they would switch him out for a different driver.
I saw a tweet from the GOAT of Formula One, Gunther Steiner, about how they are sorting through legal issues, but it will be resolved, I think, like early this week. I think he gave a date of like Wednesday or something. So
interesting.
Yeah, we should know, at least he makes it seem like we should know very shortly, but crazy. I feel so bad for the guy. It's not Nikita Mazepin's fault that he's going to get kicked off the grid.
Yeah, I know.
Even though,
but at the same time,
kicked off the grid.
It's not his fault that he has the seat either.
Yeah.
So
he's really good at spinning. If you didn't know this, he got the first red flag of the 2022 season. Rightfully so.
That's funny. I do think I listened to an interview. There's the like, I think BBC does this podcast called, what do they call it? Beyond the Grid.
Okay.
And they do these like long form interviews with F1 people, and they get good people, like real legit interviews. And they talked to Nikita, and I listened to it, and he came off pretty well. He seemed like a pretty decent guy, actually.
Yeah.
I know he's had some other sort of off track incidents like before he started, but yeah, there was like a sort of before last season. Remember there was like a big hubbub about like a little. I don't really want to get into it. You can look it up. There's a little incident.
It's not good.
I mean, I think he mistreated some female friends of his a little bit, and there was like a video that I don't know. I don't want to talk about that kind of stuff on here,
no,
but
understandable.
So I don't know. I think he's got ups and downs, positives and negatives, I suppose. But maybe he won't be driving this year. Who knows?
Exciting things to come from the Haas front. But actually, on the upside, I saw Gene Haas is going to commit more money than he otherwise would have. So they've got funding coming from him, and they had a other sponsor lined up, not a title sponsor, but another one that seemed pretty certain.
Is it 1-1
for? I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, should know soon. And I don't know. I always find that shit exciting. Like their what was that energy drink that completely fell through?
Rich Energy. Yeah.
Rich Energy. Yes.
Yeah. I do think that Steiner has said that they are okay financially.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, so.
There's like a very interesting dynamic. I get the sense that Gene Haas doesn't want to perpetually put in tons more money because they got all these other sponsors and stuff. Yeah. And then have you seen the Andretti F1 team proposal?
No.
So there's they
Michael?
officially Michael Andretti officially requested, like, put in an application for a team in 2024. Yes. And it's going to have a Renault engine. They have a deal with Renault, apparently. And apparently, they're very well financed from, like, the little tweets that I saw about it.
Oh, my God.
But so the interest, like, so obviously that's an American team. Haas is an American team. If they lose their title sponsor and maybe they don't do too well this year, Gene Haas might be like, do you want this team, Andretti?
Yeah, he might just sell it.
It might be a lot easier to just take an existing team rather than totally bootstrapping one.
For sure.
But yeah,
Dude,
so interesting.
So I'd much rather see Michael Andretti back in Formula One than Gene Haas. Sorry, Gene Haas.
I'd like to see them both, to be honest.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
There were some in the, like, a few years ago, Haas was pretty decent, and it was a really cool story. They, kind of like the underdog, and the team seemed really close and stuff. Like, I would like to see them do well.
I think that was
I'd also like to see Andretti.
First season of Drive to Survive that they were actually doing quite well. They were scoring some points.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And then he just completely tanked.
Yeah. Not really sure what happened there.
Poor guys.
Have you gotten a chance to look at the track photos of their 2022 car?
A little bit. I mean, so most people probably know this, but it was the first livery and car released of the year.
Those renderings are sort of fake.
Yeah.
I don't trust any of those renderings. It looks like they all just...
First impressions, it just looks so chunky. It looked so wide and, like, bulbous.
Yeah. I don't know. I like the new cars. I'm looking at a picture of the Haas on the track.
Yeah.
And this one picture that I'm looking at looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
To me.
Oh, the new car drops are so exciting. I was staring at Instagram.
Yeah.
Looking at the same pictures over and over again, but they're so cool. They're so cool.
I was kind of disappointed with those renderings, like I said, but it's cool now that they actually took some cars out of the track.
Yeah.
And who knows, like, these could be not the cars. They probably won't be the cars that we see in Bahrain, but it's still cool to see them.
Yeah. So who's next? Should I guess?
Yeah, why not?
It's
I think you
Williams,
could
right?
probably guess. No, it's not Williams.
It's not Williams?
No, George Russell got a podium last year. That's like
Oh, true.
almost is enough points to single-handedly beat the team that came in ninth. I think.
Why am I blanking? Who would it be?
And there's only 10 teams.
Yeah, I'm like blanking on like every team right now.
Well, I'll give you a hint. This team has 0 of the drivers racing this year that were racing for the team last year.
It's Alpha.
It is.
Yeah. No
Yeah,
way.
so a little recap about Alfa Romeo. Last year they had Kimi Räikkönen,
Yeah.
and they had Antonio Giovinazzi, and both of them will no longer be racing for the team. Antonio Giovinazzi is racing Formula E now, and Kimi retired.
Yeah.
So this year they have Valtteri Bottas, who was racing for Mercedes last year, and Guan Yu Zhou, who was racing F2 last year and is still a Chinese driver. And so presumably that had something to do with him coming in.
Yeah,
but he's a very good F2 driver. Supposedly he's very quick. Probably second only to Oscar Piastri, who's going to be the reserve driver for Alpine this year.
Nice. I really would not have guessed that they were next. I really thought Williams would have done worse. I'm kind of shocked. Like, obviously, George is a better driver than the guys that were driving for Alpha last year. No knock on Kimi. Kimi's got a championship under his belt, but
Yeah, he's a world champion. He's fine.
he doesn't give a fuck anymore. He didn't give a fuck for years.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought the Alpha car was just way better than Williams, so I would have thought they'd generate more points, but I guess not. George is just too good.
Yeah. They had a little run, though, Williams. They were doing quite well.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
So what was I going to say? Just to put some numbers to this conversation, Haas had 0 points. Alpha had 13 points, and then I won't spoil who it is, but the team that came in 8th had 23 points.
It's Williams.
Well, we're not there yet.
Oh, well. I'm sorry, I don't want to rush you.
Don't jump the gun.
Can we talk about that really weird photo of Antonio Giovinazzi that I sent you?
Oh, yeah.
He's on the side of the track, like by the barrier and a fence, and this is a photo that Ferrari posted, and it's just like, so the caption was something along the lines of, "Oh, good to see you, Antonio," and he's just like creeping. He's just like, he looks like a shadow figure just poking his body through the fence and through the barrier. It's so odd. I don't know why they posted this.
Did you retweet that from the Vroom account?
I don't know. I might have.
The Vroomers would love that one.
I'm doing really bad at. I've been on the Twitter account, but I've been doing really bad at generating anything. That's okay.
Oh, that's okay. Well, you got to get acquainted with F1 Twitter a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. It's a different place.
Yes.
It's fun though. Happy to be here, guys.
So Alpha, have you gotten a chance to look at their car?
Not really, actually, come to think of it.
Yeah, I think they released it later because I feel like there was not a lot of info about it.
For sure.
Floating
Surrounded by the excitement of the more exciting cars. Sorry, Alpha.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at a picture of it. I'm actually looking at a rendering of it, but I have no sense of, by looking at this, I have no sense of if it's like well designed or not. But as far as the look of it, like aesthetically to my eye, I like all of these cars better than the cars last year. I think the cars last year looked terrible compared to this.
I agree. There is a miss though, I think. I don't know if we should say it now or say it when we get. I'll wait till we get to the team.
Yeah, wait till we get there.
Yeah.
You got to keep things organized here on the Vroom podcast.
Sorry. But yeah, I'm looking at it right now. I agree. I like the livery. Not seeing the full body work, but the colors look pretty cool. I think it looks better than last year. Agreed.
Yeah. I'm not sure that this would be my favorite of the cars for this year, but I definitely think it looks a lot cooler than last year.
Mm-hmm. Well, welcome to the grid, Guan Yu Zhou. If I'm saying that correctly.
I think it's Zhou.
Zhou? This is literally my stepmom's name.
Oh, wow.
It's Zoe. Yes, it's Zoe. I'm an idiot.
Well, then I'm probably saying it slightly wrong. I'm trying to copy what I've heard, and I've not heard anyone who I think is actually a Chinese speaker say it. So I'll just defer to you to say it.
No, don't put that pressure on me.
I'm not good at this kind of stuff. But yeah, it'll be. I don't really think that Alpha is going to do particularly well this year necessarily, but it'll be cool to see, new driver with Valtteri. It seems like Valtteri's a lot happier. Now he's got this longer term deal. I think he feels like he's a little bit more wanted on this
Probably
team.
Some pressure off his shoulders too. He can just go out and drive now.
Yeah. So that'll be fun to watch for that reason. But
yeah.
Otherwise, can you guess who number 8 is with 23 points last year as a constructors team?
Williams,
yes.
Yes.
So you have mentioned the Williams car to me, so tell me, what do you think of it? I know you've seen it.
I just love it.
Yeah, I like the new color.
Like a winner. Yeah, I really, really like that blue. I think it's kind of a unique blue. I haven't seen a lot of that. And so apparently it's a throwback blue to the older days of Williams. But looking at the older cars, I don't really agree. It definitely used to be a blue Williams car, and it was a deeper blue. But this one looks quite different, in my opinion. I just think it looks gorgeous. Like,
interesting.
If I was going to buy a really fast car, I think I'd buy the same color.
Well, I bet you wouldn't be able to get one this fast.
I hate you.
You heard it here first. So, anyway, Williams, a little bit of a refresher on Williams. Last year, George Russell and Nicholas Latifi were the drivers, and they switched around some team structure. I think that was last year that Claire Williams left the team.
Yeah.
And was replaced by Yost, I think his name is, right? Mm-hmm. Seems like a pretty cool guy from the convos I've heard. Actually, another one, Beyond the Grid, they interview him. And it's a cool interview. He seems like he's got a cool vision for the team, and he seems pretty competent. So yeah, that's cool. But this year, as we all know, George Russell has moved up to the big boy team, Mercedes, and his seat has been filled by Alex Albon, which is really cool.
Oh, I'm so happy to see Alex back. Good for him.
Yes. So another refresher, Alex Albon used to race in F1 a couple years ago for Red Bull, and he was Red Bull's reserve driver last year. And they were able to work out a deal, which is interesting because Williams is not a Red Bull companion team, if you will. It's not AlphaTauri is like their companion team, but they were able to work out a deal to get him in the car, which is awesome.
He's not connected to Toto in any way, is he? Toto's not his manager?
Not to my knowledge.
Yeah.
The only ones I know that are managed by Toto are George and Esteban Ocon.
Reason I mention that, for those who don't know, Toto is very tied to Williams. Toto got a start at Williams, and I believe he owns a large stake of the team. So, George specifically, that's the reason that he's then driven for Williams, has now moved to Mercedes. It's the connections, the industry.
Yeah, and I think Williams traditionally has been sort of a farm team for Mercedes. Valtteri Bottas was at Williams before going to Mercedes. I believe Nico Rosberg was also racing for Williams before he moved up there. Yeah, so I think that was potentially a little controversial that they got Albon in there. And it may be a sign that the Williams team is feeling like they're good enough on their own. They don't need to be in the shadow of Mercedes anymore, which is super interesting. Yeah.
And then you think about that again from that Toto lens. That's incredibly interesting. Toto might be competing with himself at some point.
Yeah. It is interesting. I wonder if he fought back against Albon going in that seat a little bit.
Right.
Maybe wanted to get our friend of the pod, Nick DeVries, in that seat, who we bring up every episode. Nick DeVries.
But Alex, he's a great driver. He's a really good driver. I just don't think he was mentally prepared for the stress of the Red Bull car that he was in.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen no one is.
Yeah. except for Checo, because he's a beast.
But even it took Checo a bit.
Yeah.
The first 10 races or so, he was not quite up to, and he's a very experienced driver. He won a race before then.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, what do you think? Albon, Latifi, new team, new car. What do you think of it all?
I don't know why. For some reason, Williams has a special place in my heart, and I'm biased in them always outperforming how they actually perform, or wanting them to. I think it's like the old Martini livery was like an introduction to racing for me. And that's probably generated my bias towards them. But yeah, they've been so bad. But I like Alex. I like Nicholas. I think they've got some potential to do well this season, hopefully.
Yeah. They were, I don't feel like they were that bad last year, though. I think they outperformed expectations by quite a bit.
Actually, ironically, once Claire left, her name is Claire Williams, right?
Yeah.
Right after she left, they started doing better. I don't think it was because she left. I just think it was maybe coincidence in the timing. But you're definitely right. Mid to late season, they started stepping it up a bit.
Yeah, I think people love to root for Williams. I'm excited to see what Albon can do in the car, because I agree. Like, he was a good driver, but just there was too much too soon. Mm-hmm. He's still super young, and now he had that experience, and then I think he'll be like. It doesn't feel to me like he'll be under much pressure compared to what he was. So maybe he'll feel free enough to really just go for it in this car.
Sure.
I think George did that a few times, like the lap that he qualified third that ended up in Spa.
Yeah.
That ended up making him get third because they didn't actually race any laps.
Right.
Like, he just sort of went for it because, like, nothing to lose, you know? He can just go as hard as possible, try to really put it on the edge. And there's one point, he, I forget what race it was, George, but he went for it and spun. And, like, he was on a great lap and then just, like, did a little too much. But it's fun to watch when the drivers do that, you know?
Yeah.
It's kind of what you want.
The team with nothing to lose, just going for it.
Yeah.
Love that.
So the next team, you might have a hard time guessing this one, too, based on your guess history so far. You're 1 for 3, I think. But this next team scored 77 points. Who are they?
Is it AlphaTauri?
Nope. You have another guess?
I will not guess again.
Aston Martin. Martin came in 7th.
Yeah.
Which is not great. So Aston Martin, as a little refresher, they have the same driver lineup going into this year. Sebastian Vettel and Lance Stroll. Lawrence Stroll, who's Lance Stroll's father, bought the team last year and changed it from Racing Point to Alfa Romeo. To Aston Martin. There's too many A teams.
There are.
One notable change that this team has gone through, though, is another friend of the pod, Otmar Safnauer, used to be the team principal, and he has left. He is going to Alpine, and he was replaced by Mike Crack.
Mike Crack.
And
friend
that's their change. Soon to be friend of the pod. We want him to be. But we haven't met him. We haven't met him like we've met Otmar. So.
Yeah.
But anyway, have you seen the new Aston Martin?
I really like it. The color's just fantastic.
Yeah, I like that color. It's cool.
I'm having a lot of trouble understanding why I like which cars, but I really think it's just the color.
I think at this point, unless you have experience in the aerodynamics of race cars, what can we know? All we can just say is the color.
Yeah. And I do have to say that the variations between these cars are incredible. The shapes,
it's exciting.
The wings and the noses and the side pods, all incredibly different.
I'm really excited for that part of it.
Yeah.
I hope that it's just a wild season and like teams that you don't expect are doing better. And yeah,
that's where Aston and Williams step in.
Yeah, maybe. I'm
so like blasé about Aston as a team. I love how the car looks, but I don't care. I know a lot of people really like Seb. I don't really care about Seb. And Lance is okay, but I don't know.
Yeah. It's tough. They're in kind of a tough spot because you can't really get rid of Lance. And I think Lance is a quick driver, but I'm not sure that he's a world champion.
Yeah, put him in the best car. I don't know if he's going to take it.
Yeah. Unless it was way far and away the best car and the second driver was not great.
Yeah. I also really think he thinks he's like a number one who's going to win. But I just think he's wrong.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's why I'm, what did you say, blasé?
Yeah.
So I agree with you. Yeah.
But hey, it looks cool. And it's the only green car on the grid. So that's great.
It does look cool. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really interested in following all that many storylines from Aston this year, to be honest.
I think the most interesting storyline is Lawrence.
Yeah, and that doesn't, I don't know.
I like watching him on Drive to Survive, just seeing him be a businessman. It's like, oh, what kind of businessman is Lawrence? What kind of businessman move is Lawrence going to make next? Oh, he bought the team.
Yeah, that stuff is sort of a fun storyline in Drive to Survive, but not really during the year that much.
I agree. Because you don't see that happen during the year. You're not watching the team interactions and whatnot.
Yeah.
The corporate side of things.
Like, I think they started building this crazy, sophisticated new facility, but it's not done yet, so they didn't really... They're still using, like, an older school wind tunnel and sort of older facilities, so I don't know if this year the car's going to be anything special. Where
are they? So they're a Canadian team, right?
But I think almost all the teams are based in England.
UK, yeah.
And I think that Aston is also based in the UK.
Gotcha.
But yeah, the Strolls are a Canadian family.
Mm-hmm.
So you've been doing terribly so far, but I think we're going to get the amount of teams is going to start shrinking. So even if you're just throwing a dart at it, you're going to eventually hit a couple. So we're at number 6.
This one is AlphaTauri.
Yeah. They scored 142 points. That makes you 2 for 4. 2 for 5.
Boom.
So you're getting there. They scored 146 points, and as a little refresher, they have the same drivers and the same team principal as last year. There is Pierre Gasly and Yuki Tsunoda. Yuki Tsunoda's rookie year was last year, and I think he made some improvements towards the end of the year, but not an amazing season. I think it's really hard being a rookie in F1 regardless. And Pierre Gasly is just consistently overperforming the car, but no team, including Red Bull, seems to have a seat for him. So he's back in the AlphaTauri again.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I love these guys. I don't know why. I love these guys. I like the way Pierre drives. I like how he could sneak a race win in here and there.
Yeah.
I like how that's possible with a what's the term? A second tier car or a midfield car, whatever the term is.
Yeah, midfield.
I just think that's so exciting. And Yuki, the short king.
Yeah, Yuki seems really cool.
5'2", and just I love the guy.
Yeah,
I love his Twitter. I love his Instagram. He's great.
He's pretty tight with Albon now.
Oh yeah,
which is also pretty cool because Albon was the reserve driver. I think Albon was sort of helping him. Through the rookie season.
Yeah, for sure. That would make sense. But yeah, it's a quick car. It's a mid-pack car, but it's a quick car. It's definitely more competitive than the cars we've listed so far. I
agree. Have you seen it, the new one?
Yes, I also like that one.
Wow.
Some really, really colorful commentary. I like it.
I like the shape of it. I'm looking at it now, but the colors don't really do it for me that much. I don't know. They seem sort of boring compared to some of the other colors.
I just like how it's easy to see versus all the other cars. I feel like it's always been really easy to spot the AlphaTauri versus the other cars. So Jack and I went to Austin last year, And I feel like too many of the cars were blue. There was
they're blue too.
But it's also very white, and the blue is like a very dark blue, and I just found it way more easy to spot and keep track of.
It's interesting. There is a lot of blue.
Yeah. I don't think this year is as bad, but yeah, last year there was a lot of blue. A lot of blue.
I get it, yeah.
What do you think? How do you like AlphaTauri?
I think that they have a chance of doing quite well this year. I think that Gasly's really good, and I don't know, I feel like Yuki's a really fast driver, and now that he's got that rookie season under his belt, I could see him doing pretty well. And that car has shown itself to be, I guess, in certain tracks or whatever, but to be able to kind of overperform. So I have high hopes. I'll be looking out for them to do pretty well.
So far, Pierre is sitting about 8th, I want to say. Maybe 7th or 8th in the
in what?
The preliminary testing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he got his fastest lap on day 3. Definitely showing some pace. Yuki, a couple spots behind him. Yuki's did not have a great testing for sure.
Oh. Well.
But yeah, I wouldn't doubt just the engineering that Red Bull does, and the trickle down of their engineering into AlphaTauri. You gotta imagine they're still going to do pretty well.
Yeah, I would agree. So we've done half. There's not that many teams left, but I don't know. I don't have high hopes that you're going to guess this one right. They came in 5th. They scored 155 points, which is pretty close to the 142 that AlphaTauri scored.
Yes.
Who are they?
Okay, so we have Mercedes, Ferrari, McLaren, Red Bull, and Alpine.
Yeah.
Yes.
You did it. You did it. Alpine.
Yes.
So, as a refresher, Alpine coming in this year with the same drivers as last year. There's Fernando Alonso, who is the oldest driver on the grid, I'm sure. Probably like 42 or something like that. But super quick driver. He's a legend. One of the best drivers in general, I think, of all time. He's won 2 world championships in F1. I think he probably could have won more if he was in the right car at the right time.
Yeah.
And then the other driver is Esteban Ocon, who is the other driver that is managed by Toto. He's been on the team for a while. He's won a race. Sometimes some races better than others, I think, from him. And then team principal, they've made a lot of changes in the organization of Alpine this year. And one of those changes was bringing in Otmar Safnauer, who used to be the Aston Martin team principal, as we've talked about, and is also a friend of the pod. So, Nick, what do you think of Alpine this year?
This is the miss. This is the miss.
Yeah?
Just do pink. Stick to pink.
It is pink. Well,
it's only partially pink. They're going to break out the full pink for, I think, 2 races this year.
I think the first 2. Have you seen the pink one?
I love it.
It's cool. Yeah.
I love it.
I like it too.
I don't know why, but maybe it's that same reason that AlphaTauri, just easy to spot, very differentiated from the rest of the grid. I wish they just stick with the pink.
The one thing is it's BWT, so it might look pretty similar to Racing Point, and it's funny because that's a totally different team. Racing Point became Aston Martin. But I don't know. That doesn't bother me. I've seen people mention that on the internet. But
also, full circle, Otmar was the director of Racing Point.
Yeah.
When they were pink.
You're right.
So maybe there's something going on there. Maybe there's some BWT connection that brought Otmar from now Aston to Alpine. But I don't know.
Or the other way. Maybe he brought BWT to Alpine.
Very true. Very true.
We should have asked him last time we saw him.
But we love Otmar. We love his personality. He's American. He trudged through all those terrible years with Racing Point and has overcome. And we have met him on a gravel trail in Austin, Texas.
Yeah, we've met him. He hasn't necessarily met us.
Yeah. Dreams do come true. Yeah. What do you think? How do you like them? What do you think they're gonna produce this season?
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard for me to say. I feel like there's a chance that they just totally miss this year with the car. They've just had so many changes in the organization.
Yeah.
I don't know, but also they were kind of pretty good by the end of the year last year.
They were.
Fernando
Esteban got that race win.
Esteban got the race win. I think Fernando was like, it maybe took him a few races to get back into F1 style driving, but he was really on it, and I think there's no reason to think he won't be really on it again this year.
I think one of the performances of the year was Alonso holding up Lewis for almost no reason that I can remember, at least.
It was to give Ocon the win, because Ocon was winning that was in Hungary.
Oh my God. I mean, I think the top two performances of the year are Alonso doing that, and then Checo in the last race doing basically the same thing to Lewis.
Yeah.
But, oh my God, just so good. So
I totally agree. Those are the most entertaining.
Yeah.
Those are like the clips that I go back and watch from last year for sure.
Oh God, love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, exciting team with Otmar. I agree. Maybe just too many changes this year. But I also really like how they have Alain Prost as a...
Not anymore.
Oh, no? He left?
Yep.
He's gone? Whoa.
It was like sort of a bitter split too. Apparently he came out on Instagram and said that they gave him like an insulting offer, and it was like not an amicable split.
Love it.
So yeah.
Who
knows what they'll be up to. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man. All right, who's next? Who else we got? Oh, I'm supposed to guess.
Let me
this
turn
one's
that question
actually
back
really
on
hard
to you.
because I know Ferrari and McLaren were really close all year, and I can't remember who beat who in the end. I think Ferrari beat McLaren, right? So next week
is that McLaren. Your final answer?
That's my final answer, and it's wrong.
No, it's right. It is. Yeah, McLaren came in fourth. Ferrari actually ended up beating him by a decent amount towards the end. Ferrari, I think,
really
finished the season pretty well. McLaren ended with 275, and Ferrari had 323.5.
Whoa. Very interesting.
Yeah. But McLaren, no changes. Last year they had a very good season at points. I think they had a bad season at points as well, which is why Ferrari beat them in the overall constructor championship. But McLaren did win a race. They got a 1-2. They were the only team all year last year that got a 1-2. And so their drivers are the same. Daniel Ricciardo, who was the one who won that race, a veteran, raced at Red Bull and Renault and whatnot. And then Lando Norris, who's super young and really, really good, had a very good year last year. One of the top drivers, I think, and is only like 23 or something. And then their team principal is Andreas Seidel, but the one that you really hear from the most is Zach Brown, who's like the CEO of McLaren Racing. So have you gotten a chance to see their car? What do you think of the team?
I like it. I mean, I don't find it crazy different from the old livery. Is that accurate?
Well, it sort of looks like their Golf throwback Monaco livery from last year. Do you remember that?
Oh, okay. No. I'm looking at it again right now. Pretty wrong. I think they had an alternate livery. I think they kind of missed on this too. I remember liking their alternate livery more than what they're going with. I think the alternate one was like all blue, but like a crazy blue.
Alternate 2022 one or an alternate one last year?
Yeah, 2022.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it.
That.
I don't know. I feel like their issue is their team setup, because who they're mainly competing against last year was Ferrari, and Ferrari, in my opinion, really has Carlos and Charles, who are essentially competing with each other. I don't think there's a true number one there. Maybe Charles is a little bit better, but Carlos is super competitive, and I just think McLaren's set up more like a Red Bull or a Mercedes, where they have their number one, it's Lando. Their number two is Danny, who's going to win a race that Lando can't win, but is really like a backup, in my opinion. And you're just not going to generate as many points with that setup when you have Ferrari.
Words.
Yeah, strong words. Write that down. Slaughter me for it later in the year.
I'm not sure that Daniel Ricciardo would be very happy with you calling him a backup.
I don't think he would. He's too goofy, that guy. He's never going to win.
Never going to win the championship?
Yeah, I love him, but I don't think he's ever going to win.
Interesting.
Sorry,
wow.
Danny.
You heard it here first. I don't know. Yeah, I think I do generally agree. I don't know that I would go as strong as you in comparing Lando and Danny. They're in a tough spot, but a good spot. I mean, like, they're better than a lot of the teams. I mean, they were better than all the teams we've talked about because of the way we're doing it. But
thus far,
I think they're in a better spot. I think they've done an incredible job on their branding and their social media presence. When we were in Austin at CODA,
especially in America,
everyone was wearing McLaren orange papaya.
If I could find a shirt that fit me, I would have been wearing one too. European sizing, guys. It's no good for us Yanks.
Yeah. But, like, it's hard for me to... I don't know. It's hard for me to justify saying that they're going to be better than the teams that were above them last year.
Yeah, I think they're kind of an engineering question mark as well. They had, so for reference, testing that has occurred thus far, Lando came out with a very hot lap, but he oddly did it on the first day of 3 days.
One of the days he topped the charts, right?
Yeah, day one he topped the charts, and he wound up sitting fourth overall with that one lap. So, I don't know. Maybe they intentionally made changes that they wouldn't have made. They said, okay, this car might be the car we're going to go with, but we'll try out these other things. And that may have slowed them down. But yeah, to see him come out swinging was pretty exciting.
Yeah. Did you see, he sort of tried to downplay that quite a bit.
Yeah.
I think he tweeted something like, I'm very disappointed with coming in first or something like that.
Yeah, it was something along the lines of, we outperformed and now everybody's going to expect us to do really well all season. Oh no.
Yeah. That was kind of a general theme. I think a lot of teams tried to downplay the cars quite a bit.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, I think I would agree with everything that you said. I wonder, like, I think they do a lot of different types of testing. There's different tires and
dramatic changes.
Yeah. There's all sorts of, like some teams, one team that we're going to get to, Red Bull, I think Max did like something around 150 laps that first day or something. Like, I think a lot of them are just trying to get mileage on the cars.
Yeah. And the drivers.
I think they try to do, I've heard that they'll do the laps and then right afterwards, like that same day, they'll go to the simulator and then there's a word for it that I forget, but they'll try to like compare how the simulator feels to how the car felt on the track and then try to make them feel as similar as possible.
Interesting.
I thought that was interesting when I heard that.
Yeah. I think that's something to definitely take in consideration as a spectator. There's a lot going on that we're not aware of. Like maybe these drivers in testing so far weren't even trying to hot lap. Maybe they were just race simming. And there's so many different race sims to play out. Like it's hard to know. It's impossible to know, really.
They might not have even been that close to like wanting to prep the car for races. Like they might have just literally just like
durability,
go as far as you can. So we can collect as much data as we can. Who knows? Yeah,
for sure.
So next up, I think you know this one, but
it's Ferrari.
Tell me. It is Ferrari. I think we talked about this already. 323.5.
Yep.
Ferrari also no real changes from last year, but as a refresher, Charles Leclerc is sort of, I think, was the intended number one driver. They signed him to this super long contract when he's really young. He's like a really, he's a prodigy, this young talent from Monaco. And then last year they added the other guy,
Carlos Sainz. The other guy.
I forgot his name. Used to be on McLaren and was like super tight with Lando when they were on the team together. And I think he overperformed last year. And by the end of the season, it's a big question mark who was the number one driver. And I think there's no reason to think that won't continue into this year.
Yeah, I agree.
So, Nick, have you seen the car? What do you think of the team? Tell us.
I mean, I think it looks good. I think they've definitely got some dramatic differences. I know there's a lot of talk about their separated nose. Have you heard about this?
I have not.
You haven't? Okay,
No.
So the Ferrari nose is in two pieces. And the benefit that they're talking up about this two-piece nose is that it's easier to make changes throughout the season and that it's cheaper to make changes throughout the season. So
Wow.
it's just an engineering advantage for them to develop the car throughout the season. What's the other thing? The side pods, those big valleys in the side pods, I think are the big Ferrari engineering thing this year.
Yeah, I think so.
I think there's a lot to that. I honestly don't know much. I don't know how much is worth knowing about it other than having fun sounding like you know something.
Yeah.
But I think it's worth noting that Ferrari for, 2 or 3 years has been saying 2022. That's when we'll come out and try again and go for the win. So
Wow.
maybe. I think that's kind of a bullshit excuse to not try to win. The whole car redesign. But yeah, supposedly this is where they put all their money.
Interesting. Yeah, I love the car this year. I think it's my favorite car aesthetically this year. I think
Looks
those
pretty
side pods look really cool. I have no idea what they're doing, but they look really cool. Yeah.
Look racy.
Yeah. And I don't know the exact results, but I feel like I've heard that they did quite well in testing. And I think maybe George Russell, one driver on a big team like that, said that Ferrari was like 2 months ahead of them
Yeah.
testing.
Yeah, I did see some tweets along those lines. Supposedly the talk on the grid is that Ferrari looks impressive. Even though the results from this preseason testing might not show it. Charles 5th or 6th, and then Carlos a couple spots behind him.
Oh, okay.
4 spots behind him.
Well, yeah, I think there's a chance that they do quite well. I think I could easily see them being a top team fighting for wins, maybe even fighting for a Constructors' Championship this year.
I think that's worth noting. One thing I think is possible this year, and that really excites me, is just that there could be more than 2 teams competing for the win. Even if it's just a third team, that's 6 cars really, really battling for first place every race. That's exciting.
Yeah, I think that's, totally. And we know that cars react to different tracks in different ways. Some are better at high-speed corners, some are better at slow corners, stuff like that.
For sure.
So it also could be that maybe each race, there's not necessarily 6 cars, but the final result, there could be like 3-4 teams fighting for the Constructors' Championship. The Drivers' Championship could be between many drivers, which has definitely happened in the past. That could be really exciting.
Yeah. Man, I hope so.
Yeah, I hope so too. I think that'd be really fun.
Yes.
Well, that brings us to number 2 in the Constructors' standings. Do you know who that was?
It was Red Bull.
It was Red Bull.
Yeah.
They scored 585 points and a half. As a refresher, not much has changed since last year because why would you?
Why would you?
Max Verstappen won the Drivers' Championship last year. Pretty incredible. Super young driver who has been in F1 for so long, it's easy to forget how young he actually is. What is he, like 24, 25?
I think he's 24 and he's been driving since he was 17.
Yeah, that's
Something
right.
like that.
Crazy.
It's insane.
I still think one of the coolest recent F1 stories was how he started in AlphaTauri and did a few races, and then they brought him onto the big team super early. And we've seen that with Pierre Gasly and Albon. More recently, they have not been able to do it. And he just came out and won the first race, and I think that's wild.
So insane.
But their sort of very well-known team principal is Christian Horner. Have you gotten a chance to see the car this year? What do you think?
Well, livery is essentially the same. Likeable, of course. It's a Red Bull. Everybody knows what a Red Bull looks like at this point. Body modifications, and I honestly don't know much about it. Do you know anything about it?
Nope.
It's fast. Yeah, oddly, I just don't think they're the most exciting team to talk about, even though they are obviously such a huge contender. It'd be great to see him and Lewis battle again, Max and Lewis battle again, but who knows?
Yeah. I think they were maybe the last day. Mercedes and Red Bull were kind of at the top of testing. Do you have that up? Can you confirm?
Sorry, 1 second. So Checo, third fastest. Max, fourth, fifth, sixth fastest.
Interesting.
It's
they might have been on
close.
different tires. I feel like I heard about that.
Yeah, Max C3, Checo C4.
Well, yeah, I agree with you that they're not that interesting to talk about. So
Yeah.
let's not spend much time on them. But they'll probably be good this year. I mean, Adrian Newey is like the best aero person around. So I think there's no reason to think they won't be really good.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm sure that we haven't seen, like, this car is probably not at all what the car will be on the first race.
I'd have to imagine. Yeah. Time will tell.
Time will tell. And the number one team, do you know what it is?
It is Mercedes. The
Yes.
Racing Arrows. Silver Arrows. Sorry.
They're back to the Silver Arrows. So that's
Yes.
one of the major changes for this year.
Yes, maybe
they
it's
scored-
foreshadowing.
Maybe. They scored 613 and a half points. They do have a driver lineup change. So as we mentioned, Valtteri Bottas went to Alfa Romeo and is replaced by George Russell, who came up from Williams. Lewis Hamilton is returning this year. There was some question, but he was just taking a little break from social media after losing the championship in heartbreaking fashion last year. Their team principal is also quite famous, Toto Wolff, who we have already talked about. And yes, the one other change is that they had a black livery for a few years, and they have switched back to silver. So, what do you think?
I'm excited. I'm so excited. I think they got the best two drivers on the grid. I think it looks like they might have the best car again, at least thus far.
So you think George and Lewis are better than Max?
I don't know. Yeah, probably not. I think Lewis is. I don't know if George is. George,
Do you think
maybe,
Lewis is, really?
Yeah, I think he is.
Wow. I don't.
Do you remember that video? I think I sent you that video. There was a race a couple of years back. It was when Seb Vettel was at Red Bull, and Red Bull was very good. It was at Spa, and Seb was right on Lewis's ass. And if Lewis went full gas and went for the quickest lap he could have, Seb would have taken his draft at full speed and just gone right around him. But what Lewis did is he just lifted the throttle ever so much, so Seb had to back off. He lost his momentum, and Lewis kept him behind him around the next corner. And you would never see this, and I mean, this was years ago. I just saw the YouTube video recently. You can't notice it without the driving data. But I think Lewis is doing little things like that all day that other drivers just aren't even thinking about.
Wow. Yeah.
Maybe.
Can't argue with that. I get the sense that he is sort of the master of the little things.
Yeah, I agree.
And he's the master of running a season-long campaign for a driver's championship, I think, as well.
He's got the most championships ever, right? He passed Schumacher.
He's tied with Schumacher, right? The one at 7.
God. Oh, God.
I think that was like one reason why this was quite devastating.
But I am an idiot.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, it's super exciting. I'm so happy to see George in a fast car. He's obviously been super fast, but in an incredibly slow car. And him and Max are probably the future of F1, maybe. And we're gonna really start seeing that happen now.
Yeah. I think I would agree. I'm not as convinced that Lewis is right now the best driver on the grid, but I would love to see it. I want to see him go head to head with George. I think George is an incredible driver. And I think, George, Lando, Max, Charles Leclerc are all like a very similar age, and they're all incredibly good. And now they're all in 4 different very good teams, the top 4 teams last year.
Yes.
So that'll be really fun to watch as they start to get used to it. I think George is just going to take to that car super quick because he's been racing Mercedes F1 cars for years. They've been having him do tests, and he actually did an actual race in one a couple years ago, as we all know. Yeah, I'm excited. And what do you think of the car?
I think it looks good. Obviously it's kind of a throwback livery to what they had a couple years back, back when Lewis and Nico were fighting each other for a championship, and that's just cool to see. What I said earlier with foreshadowing, maybe that's a throwback to Lewis and Nico fighting, and now it might be George and Lewis fighting.
Yeah,
that'd be pretty cool, but who knows?
Yeah, I think at least I would be very disappointed if Mercedes just dominated this year, because that's just, it wasn't last year, but in previous years it has been for so long. It would be cool, though, at least if Mercedes were to dominate, if Lewis actually was fighting it out with his teammate, that would still be pretty entertaining, as opposed to just,
I think
Lewis just wins.
Infighting is just as exciting as anything else.
Yeah, there's a few good opportunities for that. I think we've talked about Ferrari.
Yep.
And now here, this Mercedes is going to be really good.
For sure.
For infighting.
And I got to say, I'm super happy to see Lewis looks happy. He doesn't look... It doesn't look like last season ended his life, which was a question mark. He disappeared for months, so we didn't know if he was mentally stable, but, he came back to the gram and Twitter and is looking positive and excited for this season.
Yeah, I totally agree. Good for him. I think it seems like he just took a big, long break from social medias and stuff, and it seems like it did him well.
For sure.
That's all the teams. Did you guess that?
This year.
Yeah.
We'll have 11 once Michael Andretti joins.
Yeah. True. The one other thing, have you seen any of the porpoising talk?
Porpoise. Can you say that on
porpoise?
The radio? Are you allowed to say porpoise?
We're not on the radio.
Sorry, define porpoise and tell me what the fuck you're talking about.
So, apparently, I was just trying to read about this before we started recording, so, take this with a grain of salt. But I believe a big part of these new regs is that it's a lot harder to get downforce from the body of the car, so they're going to have to get it from, under the car. And for some reason, that leads to that downforce from the bottom of the car can resonate with the natural frequency of the car and cause it to do what they term porpoise, which is sort of bounce up and down.
Oh.
And certain cars were having more trouble with this than others.
I saw on the home stretch there was a lot of shaking going on. I thought it was the track. I didn't realize it was the cars. It's interesting.
Yeah. That's all I know about it, and they call it porpoising.
Sounds dangerous.
Yeah, Christian Horner, I think pretty recently was saying that it's a it's a safety concern.
Yeah.
So I think you're right about that.
And also, so my impression of these new cars is that the intention of the redesigns is to make them more close. There's going to be closer driving. There's going to be more opportunity to pass because there's advantages to being behind a car as opposed to in front of a car that previously did not exist. So throw those factors into a porpoising situation. Things might get a little dangerous.
Yeah. Get two cars porpoising on different frequencies right next to each other. It'd be wild.
Watching Planet Earth and David Attenborough is telling me what two animals are doing to each other.
Wow. That seems as good a note as any to wrap. Any closing thoughts?
I'm going to go think about porpoising for the next half hour.
Sounds good. Well, it was good to catch up, and I'll talk to you next week.
Peace.
See ya.